The country's recently released crime stats made for uncomfortable reading. And when considered alongside our shocking conviction rates, is it any wonder many of us have lost faith in the police?
It's also the reason so many people turn to private companies and NGOs for their protection. And to solve crimes, the police appear unable or unwilling to investigate.
Well, this week, the efforts of one of those organizations, Action Society, paid off when the husband of an Amanzimtoti, 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝗴𝗶, was arrested for her murder. Here's Masa.
In just the last 3 years, Carte Blanche has covered dozens of stories of murder.
This is not a unique case. It's supposed to be a relatively simple murder case.
It's a drop in the ocean. Around 75 people are murdered every day in South Africa.
It's not the way that the world should work in my mind.
And according to the police's own latest statistics, just under 12.5% of those murders are solved.
If you want to kill someone, do it in South Africa because you're likely to get away with it.
2 years ago, Liezel de Jager was strangled outside her home in Amanzimtoti, where she lived with her husband 𝗃𝗏𝗏 and their children. The day of her murder, the house alarm was triggered around the same time Liezel got home from her early morning jog. This call room received a panic activation from the de Jager home at 6:07 a.m. When security called, there was no answer either from 𝗃𝗏𝗏 or Liezel. But 2 minutes later, at 6:09 a.m., 𝗃𝗏𝗏 called to say that the panic button had been pressed by mistake.
Would you need us at the house?
15 minutes after that, 𝗃𝗏𝗏 called again.
I need help, please. My wife's been attacked. No, God.
What's happening there, sir?
Liesel's body was found by her husband just by that small wall over here. Robbery wasn't a motive as her car keys and her bag were still lying next to her. Suspicion fell on 𝗃𝗏𝗏, whose struggles with mental health had caused tension in the marriage. When police asked him to undergo a polygraph, he disappeared. Days later, he was found living in his car in a sugarcane field, claiming that Liesel's killers had tried to harm him. Police didn't confirm whether he has since undergone the polygraph, but said a key suspect was interviewed in October 2021. Then for 2 years, the investigation simply stalled.
The most simple investigation processes that need to be in any crime investigation has just not been done.
Liesel's father, Henk van Zyl, is a retired police officer who's worked on police reform for the United Nations. We spoke to him in September. So what have they actually done up until this point with this investigation?
As far as I know, they handled the crime scene, collected some trace evidence on the crime scene, take a number of statements, and apparently they sent some electronic devices and some DNA matter to forensics to be analyzed.
Henk had made over 90 calls to the police for feedback.
The same message that I've received for the last about 12 to 15 months, I'm still receiving, just waiting for the forensics.
As a dad, it must make you so angry.
I mean, I'm totally emotional about this, and I don't think you can blame me.
Victims of crime deserve to expect their crimes to be solved. So it is really important that expectations are met. If they cannot be met by the police, at least they need to be managed.
At the Institute for Security Studies, 𝗀𝗏𝗏 Lancaster researches emerging crime trends to inform crime prevention policy. The detection rate on all contact crime is under 50%.
Detected cases means that the police feel that they have enough evidence included in their case to take it to court. The detection rate is an important indicator for police performance. It provides us not only of what visible policing or boots on the ground, the popular term, does, but also what goes on with ballistics, forensics, and all the other type of competencies.
Murder has the worst detection track record.
In most cases, it is very hard to detect a murder. You might have suspects, but it doesn't mean that you have evidence. Often when murders occur, there are not other witnesses, but of course there are other factors at play, such as ballistics, forensics. So it is far more complex to investigate than other crimes.
As civic services crumble around us, South Africans are privatising what we once expected government to provide, even the investigation and prosecution of crime.
So let's just make a note because that's important in my opinion.
Ian Cameron is Director of Community Safety at civil rights organisation Action Society.
We not only assist police on ground level with the investigation or with any kind of support they need, but we then also do oversight in court, and we try and ensure that nothing falls through the cracks.
So basically a watchdog for the criminal justice system to work.
Yeah, we're not at a point where we can keep everyone accountable, but at least in terms of the police and in parts of courts, we can make a real impact.
The frustration of battling an unresponsive system has driven the victims in around 180 cases to Action Society for help, including Henk.
We have started a legal process with regards to the South African Police Service to force them into getting the job done. We've actually offered to give private forensic help, and now we're at this point where we have to literally tell the whole world just to have a simple murder investigation completed.
The increased attention finally had an effect. In an email to Action Society, KwaZulu-Natal police apologized for their lack of professionalism and sympathy and acknowledged their tardiness in investigating the case. In early November, the case was handed over to the police National Cold Case Task Team, and within 3 weeks, 𝗀𝗲𝗀𝗏 de Jager had been arrested. But not before he had exploded into the life of another family.
Why wasn't he locked up then? If they'd done the job then, would my wife still be alive? Would my mom still be alive?
In April this year, Guy Eel's wife Linda and his mother Bernice were killed when a speeding vehicle rear-ended them on the highway, causing their car to veer off the road and roll.
I got a call from my daughter, hysterical. Dad, the car's rolled, Mom's not moving.
Guy's daughter, mother-in-law and a friend were seriously injured.
It's hard to describe sort of the intense feelings that come with the realization that your life partner is not coming back again.
Guy, too, became concerned about the standard of the police investigation.
I realized, there was a lot of information missing and incorrect information that was actually on the accident report form. And there was nothing in the file. There's the 2 autopsy reports, no witness statements, no warning statements.
He commissioned an independent accident report and asked witnesses to provide sworn statements. Guy quickly learned that the driver who allegedly collided with his wife's car was none other than 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗏 de Jager. Googling 𝗀𝗀𝗀's name, he learned the story of Liezel's unsolved murder. Police told him that they didn't know where 𝗀𝗀𝗀 was, so Guy traced him and provided contact details.
When I phoned again, they said, no, he wasn't there. Now he's avoiding their calls. They think he's hiding out at George with his mom, so I gave them that number.
So you're basically doing police work now, Guy?
You kind of want some justice, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen on its own.
𝗀𝗀𝗀 didn't respond to any of our questions. 7 months after the crash, Free State Police told us the investigation is nearly complete. 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗏's warning statement has been taken, and the case is now with the Director of Public Prosecutions. They said they welcome community cooperation and commended the investigating officer for handling this investigation quickly. We all know that the police are under-resourced, understaffed, and having to deal with an overwhelming number of cases. But is the answer to turn away from the police as we have from so many state services?
It is not too unreasonable to expect that in a country where almost every government service is outsourced by those that can afford it, that we will see private investigations and prosecutions. I would really like to see that effort being plowed back into the criminal justice system to help strengthen the services that we have.
The number of police detectives has dropped by 1/3 since 2016. Those who are left often carry up to 200 dockets at a time. The police are addressing shortages by recruiting and training new and retired detectives.
They are talking about better resource management, better supervision, but it's not going to solve the fact that we do not have people that have the mentoring that they require to investigate complex crimes. And that is why we need permanent capacity. It's going to cost us money, but we need well-equipped, well-trained detectives.
𝗲𝗏 de Jager has appeared in court accused of his wife's murder and will remain in custody until his next appearance on the 7th of December. Perhaps Liezel's family will finally get the closure they so desperately need. Meanwhile, these families are still waiting for answers.
Thanks for watching. Why not drop us a comment below? We love reading your opinions. Remember, you can now access Carte Blanche stories anytime, anywhere, even offline. Carte Blanche, the podcast, is now available on all major podcast platforms, so be sure to hit that follow or subscribe button and be part of our growing online family.